welcome to Australia, welcome to Australian Booktables, and welcome to this week's book review, book recommendation. Now, before I begin, it is Monday today, so I'm hoping to get this filmed, edited, and uploaded for you sometime this afternoon. But before I begin, I'm just hoping that you had a lovely weekend. I went out filming for you, which that film will hopefully be seen this Saturday. But yeah, it was a lovely weekend. It was a busy weekend, but I hope you had a lovely, relaxing one. I hope you did lots of reading, or some reading, or just some relaxing, nice walks, or whether it's snowing or raining or sunny. I just hope that you had a lovely, relaxing time. Okay, let's get into it. Now, in May, in Australia, it is Mother's Day. And I was thinking of you when I was preparing for today's video, because I was thinking of you as mothers, or for your mother, or indeed for your friends. It doesn't have to be a Mother's Day gift. It can be for a good friend. And there's a reason why I suggest that. Let me explain. I recommend The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, whose name last week I forgot. If any of you saw last week's video, I forgot the Burnett. I kept trying to call her Bennett, because in last week's video I had in my hand tea leaves that were made by Story in a Teacup, and they were Miss Bennett's tea leaves, English breakfast tea leaves, from Miss Bennett being from Jane Austen's novels, or Jane Austen's novel. So I kept thinking it was Frances Hodgson Bennett, and I could not remember that it was Burnett. So I really apologise. I guess that's the issue with me doing these in one take. I don't edit the book reviews at all, or the book recommendations. The mistakes you will get, whatever mistakes I make, whatever happens, whether the dogs interrupt or something, you'll just get everything. So that was the problem. So I did have a giggle to myself last week. But seriously, Frances Hodgson Burnett's The Secret Garden, it was a children's book, but it really is a lovely adult book as well. It's for any age. You know, I really, really advocate adults reading children's and young adult books, and vice versa. This is beautiful. Now, The Secret Garden, if you haven't read it, it is a classic, and it really is about, it's about a whole gamut of things. It's about love and loss, friendship, companionship, the need to develop and work on a garden. Conversely, you have to work at and love and cherish a friendship. So it's about that. It's about loss. It's about respect. It's about finding yourself, or finding oneself. So yeah, I recommend The Secret Garden. But the reason why I'm recommending that is because, now let me get my spectacles on. This Unearthing the Secret Garden by Marta McDowell. It's the plants and places that inspired Frances Hodgson Burnett in her gardens, but to write The Secret Garden. She lived in 3 locations in America and 2 in England, I think, from memory. It has been a while, you know. I read these and then I take a while to recommend them to you. But there's 2. I think it was 2 places in England she lived in, and no, 1 in Bermuda. Correction. 1 in England, 1 in Long Island, and 1 in Bermuda. And what it does, Marta shows you, or she relates them to The Secret Garden and how they inspired Frances Hodgson Burnett. She gives you a few pictures from the original version of The Secret Garden, But more importantly, let me just get it out here. So she gives you photos and description and the story behind the gardens of Frances Hodgson Burnett. It is a delightful book. Again, we have pictures from various publishing from various pictures from various publications of The Secret Garden. And it gives you dates. There's Frances Hodgson Burnett there in her garden with roses. So it's a really lovely book. It's a lovely book for gardeners, for lovers of The Secret Garden, or to inspire you to read The Secret Garden and vice versa. I personally think that these two together would make a beautiful gift for Mother's Day, or for a good friend, or for a sister. Usually for a sister, it could be for anybody, but I'm just thinking myself whether I would give it to my sisters. I just think they're beautiful, and you can get them, this one in different publications, so even if you didn't like it, the look of it to go with this one, you can find yourself another publication. I just think those two together look lovely, and they're a great size. They fit together nicely. So I recommend them. Yeah, look, The Secret Garden, if I can just go on about that a little bit more, there are so many morals and stories within this story. If you haven't read it, it is about a young girl who is orphaned, and she goes to live with a distant relative and finds a young boy who is disabled, but it's more of a mind over matter disability. It's about overcoming grief. It's about overcoming mental health issues. I'm not sure whether Frances Hodgson Burnett meant it that way, but when you read it, you can certainly see that the young quasi-disabled boy, with the love of this distant relative, the young girl, and another friend, and the garden, he overcomes his apparent disability. So it really is a lovely story. This one is, I have mentioned this one before, but let's go over it. This one is 340 pages long, and the illustrations are by Robin Laurie, and it's Puffin Books, the Penguin Random House in the UK. This one was published in 2019, but of course it was written in it was written in 1910, I think, or somewhere like that, 1910 or 1911. It really is a lovely book, but I think paired with The Unearthing the Secret Garden by Marta McDowell, I think they're beautiful gifts. So that's those two. I just wanted to quickly get those in for you for Mother's Day. If you were thinking of a gift for your mother or your mother-in-law, or even if you no longer have your mother, or for some reason, if you give it to a friend, it would be a beautiful gift. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I unboxed a number of books from Cracked and Spineless in Hobart. One of the books was The Chocolate Factory by Mary Lou Stevens. And it's an Australian author about an Australian story, an English Australian story. It is set in Tasmania, where the first Australian Cadbury's chocolate factory was built and flourished. Now, originally, I thought that this was all completely true, but it surprised me. It's not. There are historical facts here about the initiating and the organising and the building of the Cadbury chocolate factory in Tasmania, in Hobart, in Tasmania, but a good deal of the characters and the the main storyline is fictional. You would never guess. It is so well written. Oh, I've just dropped the bookmark. I won't pick that up because you'll see the top of my head and that will just all get... I'll pick it up. You'll have to excuse the top of my head. So it comes with a lovely bookmark. So it's... It surprised me. Because I thought it was all completely true. And then when I started reading it, I thought, oh, hang on, I best check this. And yes, the characters, a lot of the characters, not all of them, but a lot of them are fictional, and the story is fictional. But the basic story and the fiendish behaviour of some of the confectionery industry at that time is true. It did happen. Some of I was going to say naughtiness, but some of the skullduggery for particularly searching for Cadbury's dairy milk recipe. So that's all true, but you come away feeling that it's very true to life. It's believable. It really is. I absolutely enjoyed it. I read it cover to cover non-stop. It was just, I really, really enjoyed it. Now this is, and there are some twists and turns along the way, I might just add, 429 pages, and this was the one, actually, if you saw last week's video, or was it last week's, where I unboxed the package? Was it last week or the week before? Enjoy, much love, Mary Lou. It has been signed, so I was very excited about that. But this one, I think it was 2024. That's right, I remember, 2024. And it is an imprint of Harlequin Enterprises, which was HQ Fiction. So yeah, look, I really recommend it. There are twists and turns in the story. It is a very believable story. I came away really... really involved in it. I really felt as though I had been through this whole story with the characters. It was so believable. Even the skullduggery from the fictional characters and some of the nuances of their behaviour and things like that, it's true to life. There are people out there like this. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did spend a number of years in Tasmania. I lived there for about 7 years. And so some of the places that they mention here, or that Mary Lou Stevens mentions and the characters mention, I could relate to, even though it is set in 1921, I think 1921, and really sort of happens more in 1922, 23, and goes through to 1926, I think, or 27. The places are still very much alive and happening today in Tasmania, and they're very... I've very much could relate to and understand the locations. It was really good. I recommend it. I know this is a big favourite at the moment, particularly here in Australia, and I don't always I'm not always partial to what is top of the pops at the moment, but because this was Australian, because it was Tasmanian and an Australian author, I really wanted to read it, and I'm so glad I did. It is a great story. Do yourself a favour, go out and buy it, preferably from an independent bookstore. I know it's available in some of the large shops, the really large, what am I trying to say? The large department shops, but it really is nice to buy your books from an independent bookshop, because we are at risk of losing our independent bookshops if we don't keep them alive. And it's only our patronage that does that. So please try and buy independent where you can. So definitely this one. Now, an oldie a real oldie but a goodie. I'm going to recommend, but I'm more interested in recommending the author. Let me explain. The Butterfly Collector by Tia Cooper. Now, she is an Australian author and has been writing, I think, since mid-2000s, so 2015 or 2013 may have been one of her first books, I think. But she's award-winning. Most of her books win an award of some sort. She's just amazing. The Butterfly Collector, I think this was 2019 this one came out, and I do have a number of Tia's. She hooked me in from the first time I read one of her books, and then I started collecting and reading her others. I don't have all of them, but I do have quite a few of them. I really love her style of writing. Yes, this is 2022. This one was 2022, and she recently, 2023, so last year, she wrote The Talented Mrs. Greenway. But let's discuss this one. First of all, Tia Cooper, I think she was born in England, but she's claimed herself an Australian writer, and I'm so glad she has, because I really enjoy her works. Her stories are, all of her stories that I've read so far are rich. They are rich in location, set in Australia, rich in location, rich in history, rich in the characters. There's depth of character, and what I really enjoy as well is that the characters have a depth and a richness in their dialogue. The storylines are always unique and, again, deep and rich in the story. There's nothing frivolous about Tia Cooper and her writing. I really enjoy her works. Now, this is The Butterfly Collector. This one is, I'll just remind myself on the back here a little. This one begins in 1868 with a young girl, Theodora Breckenridge, who is still in mourning after the loss of her parents and her brother at sea. And she's more interested in working quietly on her art at the family's country estate than she is in finding a husband in Sydney's society, even if her elder sister Florence has other ideas. Theodora seeks to emulate prestigious nature illustrators, the Scott sisters, who live nearby. So she cannot believe her luck when she discovers a butterfly never before sighted in Australia. With the help of Clary, her maid, and her beautiful illustrations, she is poised to make a natural science discovery that will put her name on the map. Then Clary's newborn son goes missing and everything changes. Now, it also then flips to 1922 in Sydney. A young girl loses her job and she is sent this mysterious parcel. And the parcel actually relates to the 1868 story. I won't say any more. I really did enjoy this. I enjoy every one of Tia Cooper's books. I think even though she has won a lot of awards, I think she is terribly underrated. I think she's undersold, underrated, because she really is a rich storyteller. If you can, do try and get yourself a Tia Cooper. Now, as I say, last year there was The Talented Mrs. Greenway, there's The Butterfly Collector, there's The Naturalist's Daughter, I think, there's The Cartographer's Secret. I'm just going off the top of my head here. There are, perhaps I will be reminded in here. But honestly, if you can, just Google Tia Cooper, the Australian author, and it will come up with a whole heap of her books. She's absolutely brilliant. Let me see. Oh, she even gives you a map to set the story, and there are historical notes as well. I'll just give you the quick. Oh, there's The Fossil Hunter, did I say that? And The Cartographer's Secret, I did say that. But there are more. There are many more. So what was I going to... Oh, the lowdown. Okay, so including the historical notes, this is 361. So it's a decent read, 361 pages. And 2022, as I say, and this is by Harlequin Enterprises, an imprint, HQ Fiction, which is an imprint of Harlequin Enterprises. It really is, this one is a lovely story, but all of Tia Cooper's works, what I'll do in a video in the future, I'll grab all of her books off the shelf and we'll just make a bit of a discovery, or more of a discovery of Tia Cooper. I really cannot stress enough, I think she is underrated, underread. I know she's won a lot of awards, but perhaps more that she's underread, I say. She's not read as much overseas. She does feature here in Australia, but I just think she just deserves much, much more. She just deserves a lot more credit and acclaim than what she gets. I just think she's a great writer. Again, I say do yourself a favour, because I cannot see that you would not enjoy, if you like history, if you like really depth of character and depth of story, then Tia Cooper is definitely for you. She's a rich, rich storyteller. She really is. She's wonderful. Okay, I'm trying to do this very, very quickly. I'm trying to rush it a bit so that I can get it uploaded for you. So I do apologise if this appears a little rushed, but I wanted to get those out for you. So Tia Cooper, particularly this week, is The Butterfly Collector, but any of Tia Cooper's books, I cannot see you being disappointed. The Chocolate Factory was wonderful by Mary Lou Stevens. I thoroughly enjoyed it, much more than when I found out, or when I discovered that it was more fiction based than what I thought it would be. It really surprised me at how much I enjoyed this. Bookmark fell off again. I think you'll be surprised. I was so invested in these characters and in the story. It was so believable. And as I say, a lot of the history and the information surrounding Cadbury's Chocolate Factory is true. And some of the characters are true. The owner of, and the history behind Cadbury's is all true. But just the basic storyline with the characters are fictional. But you would not believe it. It's absolutely fantastic. And for this Mother's Day, very, very quickly, I suggest these two books as a gift. Or for a friend, I think that the two together are absolutely beautiful, particularly if you're a gardener, or if your friend or your mother is a gardener or is just interested in gardens. And of course, The Secret Garden, the novel, is beautiful. Children's novel, but anybody can read it. Look, I even read it again. I think it was last year or the year before, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I will read it again later this year. I like to give these things a little bit of time before I read them. If I ever do reread a book, I like to give it a little bit of time before I do reread it. But it's about love and friendship and growth, and really working on the friendship as you work on a garden. It's about mental health. It's about loss. It's just beautiful. It's a really lovely book, as is, I think, their companions, to be honest. So that's it for now. I hope you have a lovely week. I hope this gives you something to think about. I do apologise with it being rushed, but I must get on and get this out to you, this video. And what else? I will see you Saturday for the travel video. If I don't see you for Saturday, I'll see you next Monday, and hopefully not as rushed. Anyway, have a lovely week, and I'll see you. Happy reading and good eating. That's my storyline, and preferably at the same time. It's always good. And actually, on Saturday, I must just do a plug for Saturday's travel. If you don't watch the travel videos, may I suggest you do? We're going to a nice event and an interesting event. But at the end of that video, there is something that I would like to show you from that location. So, enough said. Happy reading, good eating, and happy eating. And I will see you next video, whenever that may be. Okay, take care. Bye for now.